Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun, and this is our Silo Season 2, Episode 1 reaction and review. It has been a very long time coming, but we are now back in the silo, or shall I say, we are back in another silo because Juliette sure didn't stay outside for very long now, did she?
No, it seemed like she really wasn't going to be able to make it to that city that we saw off in the distance. There's still a big question about that. And if you're new to the channel, or even if you're not, we just wanted to let you guys know that we have not read the books.
Mhm.
And we do know that shows that are based off of books sometimes deviate a little away from the books and stuff like that. So we're going to be diving into theories here and talking about the episodes, not having read the books. So no spoilers in the comments, please.
Yeah, we want to be surprised and delighted, hopefully, by some of what the show chooses to do here.
Yes.
I'll start with an opinion that is very, very rare for me when it comes to really any show all over the map, because I am very anti-binge watch. I have said this on multiple occasions. I like to savor the 8-course meal of TV a lot of the times. I don't want to go to the buffet line and get a steak and then get 2 baked potatoes and like try to shove it in my mouth all at once. I want to enjoy. I actually think that this is a rare instance where they should have released episode 1 and 2 next
Mm.
to each other, just because so much of this episode was just action and not a lot of dialogue. I think it would have been beneficial for us anyway to see this episode with maybe another, maybe give us more insight on Silo 18, just add something else to the mix here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm someone that likes the slow ride. So I'm normally a person that likes my episodes one at a time. I'll
Yeah.
go back to the buffet a couple of times and not all at once. I am fine that it was just this one episode. And I understand that not a lot maybe happened when it comes to like theories or what's going on. It was like one big reveal right at the end of this episode for 30 seconds with the man behind the door. However, I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the rebellion and what we saw, who is Russell, and is this the same rebellion in Silo 17 where we are now with Juliette that actually happened in Silo 18? Is this just like the big rebellion that all the silos know about and think that it happened to their silo because everybody thinks that they're the only silo that's there? Or was there another rebellion that happened in Juliette's silo, Silo 18, where it was 140 years ago, this big rebellion, blah, 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 blah? Or was it this?
This is the great amazing thing about covering this show and why we have so much fun doing it, is it's just one little thread can unravel into a million different things, and we're going to get into basically all of those million different things as this video goes along here. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we are going to be your go-to space for everything Silo this season. We have a ton of coverage planned, previews, more discussions, plenty of theories. Also, you guys already have Apple TV Plus. You've already subscribed to it, so why not check out their other programming and also watch our other coverage, because there's a couple other really great shows they have going right now. Bad Sisters, which is an excellent dark mystery drama with a little bit of comedy, and then Before, a psychological thriller with Billy Crystal playing a role that is so different from anything you've ever seen him do.
Also, join our Patreon. We just wrapped up covering the Penguin exclusively over there, and we are about to dive into Dune Prophecy, which we are extremely excited about starting next week. Is the only place you're going to be able to get our video reviews each week. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, let's start with Russell and everything that was going on with this rebellion that was happening in Silo 17. We saw that there was a group of people that were rebelling. They wanted to get out of the silo. We had other people on the other side that were trying to hold strong and stop it from happening. And we saw somebody on the rebellion side say, "Get Russell alive." Who is Russell? We're not exactly sure. For me, it felt like tinfoil hat theory time here.
Yeah.
that it was the main guy that we saw on the other side that was like, oh, these bells, it means, everything is going to crap at this point. So let's put on our hard hats and buckle up here, that would be Russell. We haven't seen this person or Russell since then, unless tinfoil hat, it is the same person that is behind the door. And here we start to get into, if you've read the books, we don't know what's happening in the books. Is the person behind the door Russell? Is the person behind the door somebody else? We don't really know much about them, except that they're like, don't knock on this door again, or else bad things are going to happen to you. So this is where we start to also get into the discussion of these rebellions. There are so many silos here that it feels like we have to have had more than the one great rebellion that happened, that they were able to stop in Silo 18 and everything is great. We have Freedom Day and all these wonderful things that have happened. Now that we've seen that it's Silo 17 that had a huge rebellion, all these bodies, they all ran outside, everybody died. What is going on with these rebellions? Is this something that's happening in each silo? Is the rebellion that happened in Silo 17 more recent, and that it could make it that Russell and the man behind the door are the same person?
Okay, here's where I'm sort of sitting with things now, and this required a lot of really silly research on my part. So
No such thing.
I don't know. I've done some pretty silly research over the years. I'm just throwing that out there. I've spent a lot of time looking at penguin species so I can identify them individually. Okay.
You love a penguin.
I do love penguins. Okay, here's where I am. I think Russell and the man behind the door are the same person. Now, I know a lot of people out there may be like typing away in the comments and being like, no, Matt Rose. That person behind the door is Solo. That is the character that is being played by Steve Zahn, because that's information that has been out there for a while. And I'm not here to disagree with you. I am here to actually say that can't Russell and Solo be the same person? And here is where I get into my research, because a little bit of a story here. I have known Steve Zahn for a long time. This is the first celebrity I ever did an interview with. That like way back when I was in college. So I will date myself. This is like 2007, 2008. He had a Werner Herzog movie he was doing press for. I did an interview with him then. But in that movie, he had like this huge beard. And every single project I have seen Steve Zahn in over the years, he typically has some measure of hair. This guy, this potential Russell in the past, it was very hard for me to determine whether or not that guy looked like Steve Zahn or not. I was like pausing it, looking at him, cross-comparing it with photos. I think it might be Steve Zahn. And I think for the purposes of Silo, the show, if you're sort of establishing a storyline for this character, it would make sense that he is a quote-unquote wanted man back at the stage of that Silo 17 rebellion, and then lo and behold, he somehow ends up being stuck, or willingly stuck, in this particular room, undergoes some sort of name transformation, and ends up being important on that measure now.
Yeah, it makes sense that they could be the same person. If you've got the leader of the rebellion being like, take Russell alive, then we have, this person on the other side who kind of does look like Steve. Being like, oh, the bells are ringing. Uh-oh, it's all going to crap. Like, let's try to deal with this the best that we can. If the leader of the rebellion wants to take him alive, it makes sense then that whoever has locked themselves in this room is trying to save their own life, because the rebellion is trying to take him alive, whether they're trying to take him outside or they're trying to do whatever to him. They're trying to get to him. And that would then also explain why the person behind the door is like, don't knock on this door again. Like, I'm not opening this door to strangers. You can knock as much as you want. I don't want your pamphlets. I don't want what you're selling. You can just keep on moving it on.
So there is so many other interesting questions to unravel from all of this. But before we even do too much of that, I want to touch on another question you brought up earlier, which is just, what rebellion is the rebellion that has been talked about at Silo 18? And the thing that makes this show really fun and complicated in a lot of ways is you don't know who has the truth. You don't know who has the fiction, because in some ways, what was said about the outside world throughout all of season 1 ended up being true, and yet there was still a lie, and that lie came in the form of what was on those visors, making people think that there was blue sky, and then that footage ends up being where everybody can see it, and Bernard is like, cover your eyes, and all of that sort of nonsense unfolds. I think, for me, it's more than possible that there actually was a rebellion a good century and a half ago. Like, I don't think that necessarily has to be some big elaborate lie that's being told in Silo 18, but that to me is just on the basis of, it just makes sense that people are going to rebel against forces in these places because there's so much uncertainty. You're going to just be naturally felt like you're being lied to some extent. So I think it's possible that happened. Sure. It's also possible that there may have been some sort of scuttlebutt that came out somewhere about Silo 17 and Silo 18, because I've always felt like there may be a person or two in these silos that knows more than necessarily what everybody else is saying. And I'm not even saying it's like Bernard or any of the other leaders, but there might be somebody who is sort of generationally tasked with secrets, almost like a failsafe in case things go somehow even more wrong than how they went on Silo 17.
There always has to be someone on the inside that knows at least enough to keep things going. And right now, that person is Bernard. I mean, below Bernard, we've got Sims, and then Meadows, and then, was Mayor Johns. Like, everybody has some information, and everyone seems to have just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Like, even Sims didn't know about the video. He was told to turn away as well when that video came up. But how much does Bernard actually know? My tinfoil hat theory is that he only knows about his own silo. I don't think that the silos know about each other. I think that there's either maybe one silo that knows about all the other silos, or whoever's running the city that we saw in the distance is running all the silos. I don't think that they know about each other. But as far as like this rebellion, it's always been really weird to me that this rebellion that happened in Silo 18 only happened, whatever it was, like 140 years ago. And nobody there really has any real information about it. It's 140 years and no one would have been alive from that time. But at the same time, that would only be like 2 or 3 generations. So there would be stories that would have been handed down. I've always kind of wondered, like, they've shown us the water a lot. There's, the water at the bottom of the silo. We've seen that when people are telling secrets, they're running water. There has been a little bit of talk about something in the water. I always kind of wondered if people have been made kind of docile with the water, that maybe there's something going on with the water that they're drinking. Like, how does nobody remember anything, and nobody is sharing information of like, oh yeah, this rebellion did happen? It's more like even Mayor Jean was like, yeah, it's here in the books. It's kind of like, okay, like, you're 1,000,000 years old. Like, hasn't your ancestors told you about this that would have maybe been there that helped stop this? It's like such a huge thing that they're celebrating, and it's like, but nobody has any information on it except what's in the books. Something really weird is going on. And I think the same thing was happening in all the silos, which is why I think the rebellion happened in 17 to such a degree that now it's just a dead silo. There's nobody in there except the man behind the door.
Well, this is just all so much fun. Let's just keep cooking on this for a minute here, because the truth of the matter is, whoever runs these silos, they can try to write their own history as much as they possibly can. And, it's theoretically possible that if this rebellion did happen in 18, they were basically just like, no one can write anything down. You must do X, Y, and Z or else. And it's still, though, a situation where not everybody's going to follow orders. So
yeah, they have to Man in Black the situation and give people the light or drug them out or something, right?
Yeah, that's why the water is a fascinating possibility, because the water's just like sitting there. This is all underground. It's not like they're going out to a lake and refilling everything and trying to figure out things that way. But in going over to the rebellion at 17, why did this happen? This is a question that I am desperate to know a little bit more information about. Because from what we can sort of tell here, it feels almost as though everybody charged the entrance and then they were sort of akin to, oh no, this isn't what we thought it was going to be at all. And they all just die. So what made them so confident in this idea that this could work? And then beyond all of that, is this something that this man behind the door, this Solo, is going to be privy to on some level? Because this show does need to have a little bit of propulsive momentum here, where I think it's fair to say that we're going to be seeing Silo 18 again. So is Juliette going to get some information from this Solo that is actually going to make her go back to her old Silo, find a way to do that however that's possible, and try to really change things? Because otherwise, what story are we really telling here?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like whoever Russell was, where they were like, oh, we're gonna get out of here and we're taking Russell with us.
Yeah.
It feels like Russell has to be, for me, the Bernard of this Silo. He has to be the IT guy that's in charge, because it feels like, I mean, right now with the information that we have, Bernard is the person who knows the most about what's going on. He's in charge of IT. He's the person that has access to the servers. He's the only person that knows about this video. It feels like maybe IT guy of each Silo is the person that has the most information. They may not have all the information, but they have more information than other people. And whoever was on the rebellion side figured out what was going on. They were like, oh, if we're going out, Russell is coming with us. So the person behind the door is either got to be like Russell or somebody else that worked in IT or Russell's kids. Like, I don't know, something along those lines. The biggest piece of information that is missing right now is the timeline. When did this happen? So like, could it be that Solo is Russell and maybe this was just a few years ago? Or is this something that happened a couple generations ago and it's like there's a family behind that door? I know he's called Solo, but you bear with me here, let's roll. We don't know what's behind the door yet. He may be called Solo, but maybe there's more people behind the door. I think he's just by himself. The minute that we heard Moon River, which is a song that makes me cry all the time, two drifters, it's two people that are by themselves here. It's Juliette and Solo.
Yeah, and I tried to look at how decomposed these bodies were. I had to try to get a sense of the timeline, but here's the unfortunate news. I have no knowledge about any of this, so I'm just throwing darts against the dartboard with that.
Listen, I do have knowledge of this. I am a former funeral director, so decomposition and bodies and dead bodies, I have a lot of knowledge on. However, I have no knowledge on radiation or whatever is going on out in the world that would change the decomposition of a body. I just know like the regular.
Okay, here's where I'm going to get a little bit tinfoil hat theory-ish about all of this and what Solo may know, because we need momentum going into the rest of the season. We also need information that is going to justify Juliette trying to find a way to get back to her old Silo and try to maybe, whether it's overthrow things or change the power structure, because this is an interesting idea that Silo is raising on some levels. Because if Silo 18 is telling the truth that outside is dangerous, what makes them still bad? Does something make them bad? And then you can see, yeah, they're withholding information about the past, they're spying on their own people. Like, there's still a lot of reasons to want to overthrow things. But if you're Juliette, how far are you willing to go in order to pursue some sort of change? So this is where I'm wondering, does Solo know or think that he knew something about how to make the outside safe and how to actually fix things? Because that would be a motivation for a rebellion, where it's sort of, okay, well, maybe it's not safe outside yet, but this guy knows how to fix it. We can actually make this thing better, and bringing that information back to 18 and sort of saying, listen, it's not safe out there, but I know a way in which it could be. Who knows if we'll ever see a safe outside world, but it's enough of a reason to really, shake things up.
Like, if the whole purpose of this video with the birds and the nice outside is to get people to clean, you can find another way to make that happen without tricking people in a way that could cause a rebellion, where
Yeah.
people find out about this video, they don't know what they're looking at, they think outside is okay, but no, the silos have been telling the truth. Outside is not okay. You're going to go outside and everything bad that could happen to you is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
That instead just find another way, because it also seems like if they use the right heat tape, you could send out somebody to clean and then come back in. There's no real reason to be doing this. And just instead, you tell them the truth, which is partially what they've done. Yeah, outside is not habitable. You're going to die. So you have to stay in here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all fine. Then why are they hiding relics, and you can't know what a Pez dispenser is? Like, why is that going to be a problem for life? That kind of thing. It's just, if there is no fixing outside. So maybe there is a way to fix outside, but the people in the silo aren't going to really be able to figure it out.
Well, how far are you willing to go when it comes to hiding things from people or controlling people for the sake of the greater good? And that whole concept, I think, is the real core of this show. Like, I think this is the big thing that the producers, and even Hugh Howey, when he wrote the source material, that he was probably wanting people to think about a lot. And I think that's a really interesting concept for this show to dive a little bit more into. And for Juliette right now, trying to get more information, just that in itself is going to be a really interesting concept, because this is somebody who was used to working with machines. Like, she ran the generator. Yeah, she became a sheriff, but I would not say that Juliette's big advantage is social skills. I think her big advantage is she can navigate through a dead silo and find a way to survive. Like, she is very much a survivalist, and she can put things together, but dealing with somebody else who probably does not have many social skills at this point in his life, like, this is going to be a problem.
Two drifters that have bad social problems. It's true, but we did get these flashbacks with her and Shirley, and you know, her and Walk, and all these other people that she has made relationships with. Like, yes, she's more comfortable with machines and being able to figure out problems. We watched her figure out a problem to be able to get over to the other side of this bridge. You know, the rope swing didn't work. One of her bridges collapsed and another one didn't. Like, she's able to always figure out a way to make something work after a couple of tries. But people, I think she's not giving herself enough credit to understand that she does have that ability. I mean, she had a pretty close relationship with Walk. She had a really close relationship with George. Like, she can have those relationships and she can navigate that stuff. The real question is the man on the other side of the door. How long has he been there, and is he capable of doing anything like that?
I just gotta say, without even seeing more than 5 seconds of this character, Steve Zahn is the perfect cast, because he is such an interesting voice, and he can play really weird dudes really, really well. I'm so excited to see what he brings to this, but I do have now 2 petty problems that I want to bring to the table, because
see yourself out. This was a great
premiere. And I love Silo. That's why these problems are petty, because the problems here may just be me, and may just be my own expectations, or me being wrapped up in sort of the meta narrative of covering a show and then also watching a show. But the first petty problem, I wanted more of that city, darn it. Like, we had this huge cliffhanger at the end of season 1. We get to finally see outside. We get to see multiple silos. And then we're out from the outside. We're back inside, I don't know, 10 seconds into the first episode.
They were never going to give her enough oxygen to make it to that city. Like, the whole purpose was for her to not be able to get to another silo and to just straight die. That is the whole purpose.
I know, but I'm still petty, and I wanted to see the city.
Well, and I'm sure she'll still be able to get there. Anybody else, when she fell into the water, be like, swim to the door? Because we know that George found what he was looking for, which was the door. And there's this little tunnel that seemingly connects all the silos. Maybe she can do all the way to the city.
I would love that. It's just you introduce something that's that interesting. And of course,
I can wait. I
you're
can take
putting
the ride.
listen, I can take the ride, but I just wanted to, give me a tease or something. Like, give me a wafer to snack on while we wait for the meal. But okay. Second petty problem here.
Okay.
The entire promotional infrastructure for this premiere was a little bit whack. And, this is funny for me to say this because I've been, criticizing Apple TV Plus for the promotion for all their shows for like months.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, like these other shows we mentioned, Bad Sisters and Before, they barely promote those at all. But basically, in the lead up to Silo in this premiere, you guys have the producers, the cast, like all these people just coming out and spoiling the entire first episode. I knew basically bit for bit, and this is not, a humble brag or anything else. This is just me reading a few articles. I knew everything that was going to happen in this episode without even seeing it. I knew they were going to start with the rebellion. I knew we were going to have Juliette exploring a dead Silo. I knew she was going to meet the man behind the door at the end of it, and it's just because I'm a normal person reading things on the internet who's not looking for book spoilers or anything else, I knew everything that was going to happen in this. And so it kind of did let a little bit of the air out of my tires.
That one I agree with. That beef, I have my beef hat
Okay.
on for that as well. It was quite irritating to have that much revealed. Like they really needed to have, this is such an anticipated show. I mean,
Yeah.
we cover Yellowstone here as well. Man, they kept the cap on that for years
Yeah.
on what was going to be coming up in that premiere, that by the time we got to the premiere, we were like, wow, this is what's happening. Oh my God. We had no way to know that that was what was going to be coming up. But because they're giving interviews and it feels like they're not giving away anything too spoilery, it really did just give everything away because there's nothing that spoilery that's happening in this episode.
I'm going to make kind of a crazy comparison here with this episode, but it reminds me a little bit of the season 3 premiere of The Bear, where you have a lot of montages. You don't really have a lot that actually happened over the course of it, but I know you loved that episode.
Oh my God, you are not talking crap
I'm
about
not
the premiere of The Bear.
I'm not
season
talk-
3.
I'm not talking crap about it because that was a very good episode. I mean, I'm not as crazy about it as you were, but like it was a very good episode. And this is a good episode too. I'm not sitting here and being like, I'm not sitting here and giving this episode the treatment that I have the finales of at least several other seasons or the entire first season of Teacup. I'm not doing that here.
No, I agree that it is sort of, it was a nice setup. We got to see a lot of really cool stuff, watching her go through that dead silo
Yeah.
and try to navigate it and figure out ways to move about and stuff. It was all really fun and fascinating and
Yeah.
exciting to watch. But did this move the plot forward? The same as The Bear
Yeah.
season 3 premiere. Did it move the plot forward? No. Did it have a nice reveal with Sydney at the end of The Bear premiere? Yes.
Yeah.
Did it have a nice reveal here with the man behind the door? Yes.
Yeah, they gave you just enough to kind of make it say, okay, we got to have all our fun creative stuff. We got to have Rebecca Ferguson wander around and do some cool action stuff, which makes sense. I mean, she's an action star. She can do all of that really, really competently. But here's a little bit of a narrative tease for what's coming up next. Yes, of course, I want more exposition. I want more dialogue, all those other sort of things. But this is still, I think, a really good start to the season. But it's also, I think, Graham Yost and the producers really being super, super confident that they know that they have such a good show that they can get away with something like this, where we will sit back in a few episodes and be like, okay, you know what? That really, really worked. Like, I really, really like that. Like, The Bear got away with it because The Bear is The Bear. And, it's an exceptional show, and they really built on that in some exciting ways. So I'm going to give Silo a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that they're going to do that here, too.
I think for me, it was just really exciting to see a silo that's not functioning. Like, we've seen the silo that is functioning and how everybody's dealing with life in there. Most people seem to be dealing with it fairly well. There are some people that have silo, the syndrome, and they're not dealing with it very well. Life there, Walk can barely leave her apartment 25 years. Like, there are issues that are happening to people living underground for that long. And now we're in a silo that isn't functioning at all. There's nobody in there except this one person. And now Juliette. I think where the show is going to be either going to have some difficulties or they're really going to have to sell it for me is keeping Juliette away from the rest of the silo. Because what really worked in season 1 for me, that was just such high stakes, was having our hero Juliette trying to battle judicial and IT and all these other people to try to find out the truth about what is going on in her silo. And now she's separated from everyone. It's always like when you have like, we just covered Slow Horses.
Yeah.
You have seasons where people are together and it works really well. And then you have the last season of Slow Horses where one of the main characters is in a completely different country doing their own thing for almost the whole season. Yeah. And it feels like it's broken up because they're not together.
Did all of Silo 17 get destroyed because River Cartwright led the charge and he got everybody killed? No, I agree. I think it's a really big creative challenge that Silo is going to have to try to figure out moving into the rest of the season. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing some people in 18 again. My guy Lucas, you're going through it right now, I'm sure.
Listen, we'll see if we ever see him again. He's down in the mines for 10 years, so I don't know, man. Maybe the door to the silo will somehow reach him as well.
I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for the best here, but no, this is a really fun show. I think they gave us a lot to talk about, to think about, big picture coming out of this episode. But rest assured, we have so much more coming throughout this season. So hit that subscribe button so you guys do not miss any of it. Also, be sure to join our Patreon for exclusive video reviews of Dune Prophecy throughout that entire season. It's going to be a really, really great time. Thank you so much to our patrons for your support, and we'll see you here next time.